Welcome to Europe Rendezvous, and our rendezvous this time is in the Azores. This is a stunning archipelago in the Atlantic. It's about 1,500 kilometers west of the Portuguese mainland. This is actually an autonomous region in Portugal. It's also a designated outermost region of the European Union. And that means that its relatively modest population of about 240,000 people gets outsized support from the EU. In fact, more than €1 billion in cohesion money in this current funding period. We've come here to see European solidarity at work.
Welcome to Chagoriana. This tea factory started with my grandmother. I'm the 5th generation. In a good year, we can produce 72 tons. Everything depends of the weather. We had 3 phones that the total is 430,000. And we win the product of the year. 60% of our business is here in the tea factory with the tourism.
I gather your mum, or was it your grandmother who actually worked in this plantation? Because it's very famous, isn't it?
Yes, it's very famous. So she worked here 60 years ago. It was very important in the last century in terms of working for women. So now this is a very touristic spot, and this is a clear example where the use of European funds was very well employed. In general, although we have seen in the last years a growth in tourism in the Azores, and this growth can be seen with a growth in the profitability of firms, this profitability is still on average below the profitability of Portuguese firms in general, because they face higher challenges, let's say.
And are they less profitable than Portuguese firms because the European funds are not being used as well as they could be?
I believe that most of these funds have been well employed. So when we compare the Azores 40 years ago with the Azores of today, obviously we are in a better off position. The Azores, since it is an outermost region, is very impacted by the crisis. We were very impacted by the intervention of Troika in Portugal. So
during the financial crisis.
During the financial crisis, and
Yes.
this impact, this negative impact in jobs and economy lasts for 10 years.
Yeah.
Then came the pandemic crisis, and again, the economy of the Azores dropped more than the Portuguese economy. The thing is that in the last 2 years, we have seen a recovery of this convergence with the European Union, pretty much boosted by the tourism growth, pretty much the same that happens in Portugal. Although we have this conversion due to tourism in the recent years, the last 2 or 3, when we look at social indicators, for instance, the rate of exclusion, the poverty, when we look at the ratio of people with higher education in the Azores, we are quite in a bad position, let's say, in the European picture of all regions.
Let's have a toast to the new subsidies, and thanks so much for your help. As you can see here, Gualter, we did our first little presentation of the Fogo Lodge with 3D images of what the old factory will look like, and the immersive experience we'll be offering our guests in the Azorean countryside.
Very nice.
I think it took us 4 years in the end to get this project done and to obtain the subsidies from the EU.
Like you know, in the European Union, we have a lot of bureaucracy. We have bureaucracy from Brussels, we have bureaucracy from Portugal mainland, we have bureaucracy from the Azorean government. So we have 3 steps to achieve.
Yes, but at the same time, the subsidies are substantial. We can get funding that's worth anything from 45% to 70% of the total cost of a project. And we have a ceiling of 7 million euros per project, which we hope to reach.
Yes, we have these kinds of grants because, like you know, Azores is one of the outermost regions from Europe, and that's why it's more difficult to produce anything in Azores.
Meanwhile, in the EU capital, a debate is on about the funding of outermost regions. The EU Commission wants member states to take charge of cohesion policy, which currently represents about a third of the EU's budget, or 380 billion euros. That means the regions could lose influence.
The regions are unhappy because we don't have any guarantees on where the money is going. We see a lot of competition between the regions coming to try to win the finance. There is no guaranteed funding, so we will compete for the funding. The Commission will only have a relationship with the national authorities, but this means that the direct link between the budget and the final beneficiary or the region is lost.
André Rodriguez is from the Socialists who used to be in charge in the Azores. Not surprisingly, he's critical of the current Conservative regional government.
Now, with the EPP ruling, we are increasing the level of poverty and social exclusion. We need to invest on economic development, on social development, and human capital from the islands of the Azores. We have less than half with university degree.
The battle of the budget has begun and no holds are barred. As you know, there's a proposal to manage funds more centrally in the next big EU budget. Are you worried about losing control regionally?
Yes, I'm very worried about that, and I disagree. I don't agree with that intention. Anyway, I'm always working with the European Parliament and, of course, the Council to adopt our ideas and reject the first proposal of the Commission.
Of course, you're part of the EPP group in the European Parliament, the political family, I should say, which is a centre-right group, and it's very much interested in competitiveness. It's putting a lot of focus on that. And if we look at the actual projects that were approved, you have more than 400 approved for competitiveness, very few on social exclusion, young people, health, access, and so on. Should you not be doing more on the social exclusion?
Yes, and it's our intention. I mean, we had in these last years a very increased project for the social. So I'm okay with our policy for the social. And we need the European funds, structural funds for that.
Critics would say you actually have the funds, it's just that you're allocating them to competitiveness rather than young people.
Not in Azores. In Azores, we have a good execution with the social European fund in our social cohesion.
Looking at the August report, this is a bulletin from Azores 2030, they're talking about an execution rate of 9.6%. Again, that seems very low. What would you say to that?
I agree. It's low. And it's very difficult to, in these years, to do more than that. We have the economic crisis, also political crisis in Portugal. And it is all together a big problem for a good execution. My budget that I present to the regional parliament, we have a focus in that.
Just one quick final point, President. As you know, waste management is a big issue in outermost regions. We've seen on this program problems in Guadeloupe, for example. What would you like to see improve on waste management here in the Azores?
We are a good, sustainable archipelago, but we need help because we need to transport the waste from small islands to the biggest island, and we made already the investments needed for that.
Beachcombing at Maya Bay on Santa Maria Island, but the finds here won't be kept for souvenirs. These local volunteers are part of an annual effort to clean up the island's beaches.
Improve the environment for her generation. It's my legacy to her. We are in the middle of the Atlantic, made of lots of currents and the trash. When we put there, they always come back.
The clean-up operation on Santa Maria collected over 1,000 kilos of waste. Since 2019, EU cohesion funds have supported 6 projects related to marine litter in the Azores, from the monitoring of microplastic flows to cutting the amount of waste that ends up in the ocean.
It's a transboundary problem, but it's very hard to implement measures that can reduce the plastic that comes from around the world. It's very hard because we can't control a current, so we have to control the impact inland on those places.
The marine litter washed up on the Azorean beaches isn't the only problem. Everyday waste management is a headache on the islands. This recycling plant in São Miguel deals with 90,000 tonnes each year. It received €2 million in EU funds in 2018, allowing the Azores to halve the amount of waste it sends to landfill. The latest stage comes thanks to €53 million of EU funds, a new mechanical treatment centre to further improve recycling rates, and an incinerator to convert waste into energy.
What we're doing is recovering all the packaging and all the recyclables. We collected the organics waste into 2 separate parts, one for compost and one for biogas, which is then used to generate energy.
The incinerated waste does produce about 5 megawatts in renewable energy, but local environmental activists have fought for over a decade to avoid just this outcome. They say the incinerator will burn material that could otherwise be recycled.
This is the last incinerator with EU funds. For us, as Outermost Region, is a signal that we can choosing a outdated solution for waste, but supported by the funds.
But 1,400 kilometers from mainland Europe, the Azores is faced with an intractable dilemma. Everything that isn't recycled must be either incinerated or sent to landfill.
Our aim with this energy recovery facility is to stop using landfills and start generating more energy, which can then be used by people on the island. It means fewer fossil fuel imports and also lower environmental emissions into the atmosphere.
Landfill or incineration, neither solution addresses one main issue. In the Azores, each inhabitant produces on average 1.8 kilos of waste a day, 25% more than on the mainland.
Welcome to Senhor da Rosa Tradition and Nature Hotel. We have around 47 employees. When we opened in 2021, it was a total investment of €6 million, and the total eligible, it was around 4.5, and we got roughly 60% of this amount in European funds. So we got extra points because we had lots of sustainable activities. Like, for example, we have 220 photovoltaic panels. We have 35 bedrooms in total in the hotel. We also have a beautiful pineapple plantation where we grow around 600 pineapples for each 2 years.
So how many tourists do you actually get on these islands?
Well, taking the figures of last year, there were about 1.3 million visitors, which is roughly around 4.3 million overnight stays. Mm-hmm. So that's a number that has been having a steady growth, and for us that's important. For foreign markets, it starts with USA, then comes Germany, Spain, and France comes in 4th place.
There's obviously concerns about mass tourism. What are you doing to try and to avoid that?
Our strategy is to promote the Azores and to distribute the flux across all the islands. We are implementing, at the present moment, we are implementing a project with EU funds. We'll be able to see through heat maps which spots of the island is being more visited at a given hour of the day. Mm-hmm. And with that information, we can educate the tourists and the flux to visit that same spots during other times of the day.
And just give us a quick overview of the tourism revenue here in the Azores. How does it fit in with the broader economy?
It already represents around 17% of the GDP, which is around 187 million euros. Revenue that we did last year in 2024.
And when you look around here in these gardens, of course it's got a pineapple plantation as well, which is something very iconic in the Azores.
It was introduced in the 19th century, and since then the production techniques were developed by the locals. It's not mass produced because it has a cycle of 2 years, and that makes it just one of our icons of the Azores.
Should we taste one?
Let's do it.
Okay. Can you tell that it's a São Miguel pineapple?
Yes, the look of the pineapple, we can identify it already, and of course by the taste because of the sweetness.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll leave it for this part of Europe Rendezvous. Do stay with us. We've got some great stuff coming up in part 2, including whale and dolphin watching. Don't go away.